What's up, everybody? It's AJ with etrailer.com. Today we're going to be checking out the BedSlide Classic. It's going to be a sliding bed tray for your truck. It's going to be a good option if you haul a bunch of stuff in your truck. Maybe you have a camper shell or a tonneau cover, or it's just kind of a pain to get to that stuff all the way to the front of the bed. It's going to allow you to slide it out like this generator, so I don't have to climb up in there and get to it. I can bring it to me. Let's check it out. Right away, let's see how it slides. I'm going to pull this lever out here. It's really easy to do, just one hand. I like this bar. It's easy to grip that and just push it in. It's going to stop on its own. That's one of the stopping points there. So this is, if you don't need to get fully to the back, you just have some stuff here. You can pull it to here and grab something easily. And it's going to be the same thing for the next stop. Again, you can't quite get to the back, but if you just need something up front, you need a little bit of an assist, you can pull it out. And then we'll slide it all the way back. That's all the way into place, and I'll go ahead and shut the tailgate so you can see that there's still room to spare in between the handle and the tailgate. That way nothing's going to get scratched up. So one other thing I want to show you is, let me get it fully extended again. With it in this point, you can see how it slopes upwards. It's going in an upward angle, and that's because it can handle 1,000 pounds. So if you were to put a bunch of weight here on the back, it would level out when the truck lowers. So instead of, if it was just level, you weigh this down, then it would kind of slope downwards. This way, it's just going to come down level with the truck. Since they're going to handle 1,000 pounds, you want to make sure it's made out of good heavy-duty material. And it is. You got the steel on the sides and the steel frame underneath, and then you have the composite deck here on the top. It has a textured finish. It's much like a spray and bed liner, which is good because it's going to help out. Like, still stuff like this, the plastic is going to slide around just a little bit, but it does have some grip to it to help you out. Now you have the rails that are steel on the side too, and that's going to help everything stay on this platform or the deck. That way, if you do take a turn and something comes out, it's going to hit that lip and it's not going to pop up above that. It's not going to get around those rails. Here on the side, you have these moving tie-down points. You can go all up and down this channel wherever you want. Just tighten it down, and that way you got a good tie-down loop whenever you want to tie down your cargo. Now the BedSlide has a bunch of different accessories that are really good for it, that really gives it the advantage. You can get trays you can attach to the rails here. That way for loose hardware or loose hand tools, you can put them in there just to help you keep organized. Or for something we'd want to use here probably is a divider. That way if you use the work stuff, but you don't use it all the time, you can divide it, and also it'll push this back there and keep it in place, freeing up all this space for maybe you just go to the store and get some groceries. You just want to throw them in here real quick. Keeps everything spread out and nice and neat. We've unloaded it just to show you how much space you actually are working with. So I'm going to measure it out so we can figure that out. Be 45.5 inches from side to side. You're going to have 69.25 from front to back. And then let's do rail height too. It'll be a little under 5 inches right there. Now that we know the usable space that's on the inside, let's see what the footprint it puts in the truck bed. So let's do side to side. It's going to be about 48.5 inches that way. And then all the way to the back, to this rail in the front. Right there, about 75 inches. And then finally, let's get a measurement right here. I'm gonna go at the highest point of the bed to the top of the deck. That's gonna be 4.5 inches. And the reason we gave you that one is just in case you have a tonneau cover that's gonna be lower, you're gonna wanna load some gear in there like those tubs we had, and that might be higher than your tonneau cover. You wanna know that before you get this. When looking at the sliding bed trays, there are a couple different options out there for you. You have Cargo Glide, which is another brand of them, and we're going to kind of compare that here. They do both have a bunch of different ones for different weight capacities for your truck. So make sure you decide on how you're going to use it or how you want to use it, and then pick the right one from there. From there, though, you're just going to have different options. Like there's more accessories here for the BedSlide. You can just better organize it, I feel like, than you can the Cargo Glide. Now, when you're pulling them out fully extended, the BedSlide's only going to give you 75% of your tray length. Now the Cargo Glide is going to come out to 100% of the tray length, although it's going to be level before you even load it. So if you do weight down with more stuff, it's going to go down just a little bit, where this one goes up That way when you weigh it down, it's gonna go with the truck and still be level, so you won't have to worry about that. When it comes to installation, they both install pretty similarly. The only difference was the tool that they give you. I felt like the Bedside one was a better tool, better quality, which just helps out with those rib nuts because they are kind of a pain and you're gonna have to drill holes, but it's not that bad. Just follow along with us and you'll see how we did it. First up, we're gonna come here to the ends. I'm gonna unscrew this with an Allen key and just loosen that screw that's down in there. That way we can remove the end and slide in our pieces. Just like that. You're gonna wanna do it with the curved end facing down. That way it slides in there like this. Just gonna put 2 of those in there. And then we'll replace the end here. Coming to this end, I went ahead and removed the end cap just like before. We're gonna put these blocks in, again, with the curved side down, slide them along the track. We're gonna put 5 of them in. Just like this. And replace the cap. Now we're gonna line up our corner bracket. What we're gonna do is you can just slide those blocks pretty easily along the track. You're gonna line those up with the holes on the bottom of this bracket. So let's set it in place and see, like we need to push this one in just a little bit more. Match up that hole. Looks like we need to come over right there, and I can there we go. The holes are aligned there, and now we can install our screws. And then I'll come back and tighten it down the rest of the way with the Allen wrench. So after we got this corner installed, we're gonna stop there. We're not gonna install the other corner just yet. You gotta slide this rail in first. So what we're gonna do is, just like on the sides, we're gonna slide one of those plastic pieces in with the curved side down, and then slide this into the corner bracket. You're gonna line up those holes there. Make sure the rail is gonna touch the end here, so I need to slide this out just a little bit. I can move it into place there. All right, with that in place, and come back with this bolt and thread it in. And then come back with a ratchet and tighten it down. After installing the first corner and the head rail, we went over to the other side and did the same thing. Now we're coming back here to on the side, and we're going to use the existing plates we put in there. So I kind of got it lined up what we're going to do. These are going to be for the D-rings here on the side. We're going to screw those in, and the 2 in the middle here are going to be for the side bracket for the side rails. So what we're going to do is just set that in place like we did before. Line up those holes. Let's go ahead and line up this one first. Get it started. Once I got that hand started, I can move it on its own and line up that one. I'll come back and loosely install this. You don't want to tighten this all the way just yet, but I'm just going to get them a little bit tighter. Now we'll come back with the D-rings and slowly screw those in. And we decided to put 1 on each side of that side bracket. We're going to leave those loose too so we can move them back and forth for now. Now we can install the upper rail. We're going to put these blocks in real quick before we do that. Same as we've done all the time. Curved end down. With those slid in, now you can see that I just slid those in on the open side. We want that open side to go into the bracket. So slide that into place there. Then I can slide our side bracket down. We want at least 6 inches of space from the bracket to the end for that nice clean look. So I'll leave this loose and come back here in a second. I'm going to add the bolts in here to the plastic pieces we slid in. Now I left that loose in the corner bracket just to keep it in place. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Just going to line up this side bracket with the plastic that we put in there and get that hand tightened. With everything in place where we want it, we can go back and tighten everything down, and then we're going to repeat this whole process on the other side. Now we're ready to lift up the bed slide and put it in place. Now you're going to need some extra set of hands because it's pretty heavy, especially towards the back. And when you go to set it in here, make sure you center it. We put a piece of cardboard here so it doesn't scratch up the bed as we're lining it up. And you want it 1.5 inches from the front of the bed there. So the extra set of hands, you're going to lift it, set it in place. This is where the cardboard comes in handy because we're going to slide it towards the front. So we finally got it right in the bed of the truck. Took a little bit of maneuvering back and forth. We measured from the wheel wells just to make sure that was the same spacing on each side. Up front is where we had the trouble of lining that up. So what we've discovered is if we got 2 pieces of wood and put it there and they measured out 1.5 inches, if we set that at the front of the truck bed and then pushed it up against it, that was far easier than trying to line up each corner because we kept going back and forth and we're having issues with that. So we just put those wood up there, pushed up against there. Now it's even on both sides and it's set in place. It's going to reach up and slide this back to the first locking position. Right there, and then go up and start drilling our holes. Now we're ready to check out and see where we're going to drill our holes. Now we've slid it out just to expose those holes we can use, and each one has 3 spots. You can see there. And it's going to be the best one that has the most coverage on it and the part that goes up on your bed. So not this part that makes an indentation. This would not be a good one to pick, so we're not going to go with the middle one. This one has a little bit here on the raised side. This one has the most, so this is the one we're going to go with. So what we do is we're going to take our 1/2 inch drill bit. That's the one we're going to drill our last hole out with. So I'm just going to kind of push down on there. Use that tip to make a point in the bed just so I can see where it's going to be. Now that I've made that mark, I'll come back with the center punch, put in that same spot, and just push down. It's going to make an even more of a hole so I can start my pilot hole. And with that first pilot hole, we're going to repeat that on the other holes. We're going to come back here. Now we've got the pilot hole and use our 1/2 inch bit to go ahead and widen that up. One thing you want to make sure you get is the right kit for your truck. Most of the insulation is going to be the exact same with all the bed slide, except if you have an aluminum bed. You're going to want to get the aluminum bed kit because it has specific hardware like aluminum riv nuts. They're going to have to go in the furthermost holes, and then there's going to have nylon sleeves for the back holes and even plates that go underneath. So just make sure you get the right kit for the right truck. With a hole enlarged, we can drop in our riv nut. I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure with my thumb. It'll go into place there. Now we can get it to expand, and how we're going to do that is use this bolt and riv nut tool. Now something we found that was helpful, because as you go to tighten this down, you're going to drop this through, use a wrench and another tool, and what that's going to do is that bolt's going to make the riv nut expand down there. And it kind of fights you a little bit, but we found if you add a little bit of grease, it makes it way easier. So I'm just going to dab the shop towel in there, just get a little bit of it, put it on the bolt itself, and then a little bit on the tool here so that it can not get stuck on that bolt. So just put a little bit there, drop that through, and now we're just going to tighten a little bit of it to get it started. That way I won't have to hold it up. We're going to take our ratcheting wrench, set it in place, and I'm going to put all the pressure down on this wrench and then put the Allen key in here too and start to tighten it down. Now we've installed our rib nuts in the furthermost holes up front. We're going to come back here to the second set and put this nylon sleeve right in there. I got a friend lifting up on that side of the bed. Make it easier for us to just drop this into place. You can completely remove it, but this was just easier. Once you drop the nylon sleeves in there, you can go ahead and come up back up here. Tighten these down. That way it's going to help hold this down before we drop our bolts into here. Now I've already tightened those down. So what we're going to do is come back to using these bolts with the washer on them. We're going to drop them through those nylon sleeves we just put in. So just like that on both sides, and then we'll go underneath with the plate. Now underneath, you can see the 2 bolts right here. They're not super hard to get to. I'm right under here with a creeper. I'm going to take this plate and put it right there and add a washer and a nut, and we're going to do that on both sides. So I got the plate with one hand. You can push it up towards the frame. My buddy Tom's up there on top. He's holding the top side of the bolt. That way I can tighten this one down far easier. Or else it would just spin up there if somebody wasn't holding it. So let's get started with this ratchet. And again, I'll move my hand here in a second, but when I get it started, you don't want that plate spinning around on you while you're tightening down. You kind of got to hold that in place with your hand while you run the bolt down. And we already did the same thing on the other side. With those bolts tightened down, the installation is complete. It wasn't that bad. There was just a few parts like the drilling and the rib nuts, but overall I was impressed with this. I really like it, especially if you have a camper shell like this truck. Really helps you get access to those items that are going to be more towards the front that you couldn't get to anyway. That generator being heavy, didn't like climbing up there to try and grab it. I could just slide out, grab it right here, pull it out and set it down. Well, I think that about does it. Thanks for hanging out. I hope this helped.